And Johnson testified. This is the email sent to Maya for confirming her appointment with a divorce attorney for January 12th. So prosecutors are just making a point to show that Maya wanted a divorce from Larry Millete. She was so serious about it. Here's proof she made an appointment with a lawyer. And this morning, the judge ruled on a number of motions, and he agreed to allow all of Maya's text messages, social media posts, statements she made to her therapist, to her friends and coworkers as evidence as part of this preliminary hearing. We also learned there are 25 people on the list of witnesses for the prosecution, including that is Maya's family, her coworkers, several members of law enforcement, is Larry Millete himself. Meetings. I can tell you his parents were not in court today. I'm told they may show up another day. Who were there, but certainly not the same number of that we saw from Maya's family. Kelly Hessedall, CBS 8.
out prior to their appointment and send it back.
Okay, so do you know why Ms. Millete your intake form that day under that for what type of legal matter are you seeking representation? She only listed dissolution/divorce. Did you understand why she did not include restraining orders?
No, I do not.
Did you call her and ask her about that?
No, I did not.
And did you understand why she said that she did not have any non-formally documented history of domestic violence? What did you understand?
During our conversation, she had let me know of, feeling unsafe or not feeling comfortable, not having access to funds, having to go to family members to obtain the retainer because she did not feel that she would be able to do that. So it is not, in my experience, uncommon for people to think just because they were not hit that they had domestic violence. Sometimes people think there needs to be a physical act of violence to constitute that. But again, I can't speak to why she didn't formally report anything.
So during that conversation with her, for what, 15 to 20 minutes,
I think so, yes.
she didn't tell you that Mr. Millete had hurt her physically.
No,
And she tell you prior or past experiences of some type of physical injuries.
no,
In your understanding about this restraining order that you were talking about related to Frances and tracking her and didn't want to divorce.
Objection made, compound.
Did you understand the question?
not entirely.
Let me tell you.
Sustained.
Okay, so now, was it your understanding your concern for her safety was related to things that you would discuss the control aspect with her?
No, just some of the things about not feeling able to not feeling secure in taking money out of her own account to pay her divorce. To me, those are things that she was afraid.
Okay, and you actually advise her to seek help also from some sort of a free lawyer.
Yes, I usually say that when we are talking about the retainer, if there is a DDTRO and they are unable to afford it, that the courts do offer a free DDTRO clinic if, the funds are not available to her and she felt like, she wanted to go down there and do that.
Did she follow your advice regarding that?
Not that I'm aware of.
When you were talking to her on the 7th of January 2021, Was it your impression that she was at work?
No,
Do you know it was that day?
I didn't ask her where it was.
And
Correct.
did she tell you she? You sent out the intake form for her to complete. Did she complete that electronically?
Yes, she did.
Did you also send her a privacy policy from Broaden Law LLC?
I believe it's on the bottom of our intake form. Just,
What's that say?
I would have to look at the form.
Oh, okay.
Is that okay?
Your Honor, may I just show her the form? This is part of People's Exhibit, I think number 1.
Why don't you ask her if that would refresh her recollection?
Excuse me, Your Honor?
Why don't you ask her if it would refresh her recollection?
Okay. Would that refresh your recollection if I present that document to you?
Yes.
Can I approach, Your Honor?
You may. Is it a marked exhibit that's been referred to?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure I know what Ms. Martinez is
And I
referring
just
to.
used the one that she gave me and that we downloaded and showed her.
Sure, you can use whatever you want to refresh your recollection.
Okay, thank you. counseling. Yeah, Roger.
You may. And identify for the refresh your recollection.
For the record, Your Honor, I am going to present this to the witness for reflection and shows on the top of the document, Logan Law, LLP, privacy policy.
You take a look at it, ma'am, silently, and then when you're done, let us know.
Can I continue, Your Honor?
Yes.
Did that refresh your recollection,
Yes.
Ms. Johnson? You recognize that document?
Yes.
Was that part of the document that you had sent to Ms. Millete on January? That it is very relevant to show
The service of the law. Would it be connected? Contain subjection, any privacy issues standing to assert such a privilege. Next.
Can I take the document back here? Can I question her?
With privilege.
When you have that has completed the intake form, keep that confidential in the your last 6 years you've been working there.
Protection relevance.
Sustained.
It's, I believe, Your Honor, she's testifying to the procedure in intake information, and that's the practice that she has been following.
That's different from asking about any privacy issues. If you want to ask how they retain their records, I'll allow that.
Do you keep the records after you have spoken to a potential client?
As far as the intake forms and all of the online communications, yes.
Okay, so you still have those in your custody.
They are still on our computer and our cloud, like I call it this Clio.
Okay. You believe that next day appointment was needed for Milete's case and that you advised her about the urgency. Was it your belief that it was urgent, or was it your belief that it was?
It was my belief that she needed to speak with somebody so that they could advise her as to how to proceed. I believe that she needed an urgent appointment.
Did she describe to you how Millete was tracking?
No, she did not.
So the controlling behavior that she described to you was based on the finances, correct?
And not feeling comfortable to come into our office.
Regarding the complaint about privacy, did she complain that?
I'm sorry, I'm not quite understanding.
Did Miss Millete feel like she did not have any privacy?
I don't recall her specific saying she did privacy. I don't remember that being a part.
So she was just telling you that Mr. Millete could follow her going to Europe.
She never specifically said he was following her or anything. She just said she did not go to our office.
Domestic violence, TRO, that you sort of messaging, or did you describe to her?
I did not. And I didn't advise her. I let her know that this is an option and that I felt like she'd speak to an attorney.
How would you discover that Miss Millete was missing?
My boss contacted me with a voicemail on our phone. And boss, Marissa Nahale. And I don't know, I believe that she may have contacted somebody and then she let me know.
I'm sorry, she.
Excuse me, Marissa Nahale.
So can you repeat that?
Sure. We received a voicemail to our office line, Broad and Law, and I forwarded that voicemail over to my boss, Marissa Nahale. I believe that Marissa Nahale contacted somebody or returned the phone call to speak with somebody, and that is how I found out that there was some concern.
So now, when you called the Chula Vista Police Department, did somebody prompt you to do that?
My boss, Marissa Nahale, asked me to contact them just to let them know that I had spoken with her.
Chula
I remember speaking to them about having Maya contacting our office to schedule an appointment. I let them know that there were some things in the conversation that I felt were a little bit concerning and that I had set an appointment for her.
Did you describe that you felt that she needed a DRO?
A
DRO?
the
To the,
detective,
to the detective.
I may have said that I felt there was a need for it, but I don't believe I did.
Did you ever say to the detectives that there were red flags of domestic violence?
Yes.
What do you mean by that?
I felt that it was the nature of the call with Maya led my personal belief to be that there were controls, that she did not feel comfortable coming into our office, that she felt that she was, in this is my opinion, unsafe to seek a divorce. That's why she was trying to keep it a secret.
Did you tell the detectives that while you were attempting to set up a consultation with an attorney at your office? How long that you and Miss Miller, she couldn't take 38? And in fact, it was Miss Millete who requested to set up an appointment with your attorney. Isn't that right?
So it was my understanding that she wanted to wait until after the family vacation. I believe we're returning around that time frame.
You indicated that she sounded scared or nervous.
She gave resolute in what she was wanting to do, but she did not seem like she was comfortable making that public.
Meaning,
She was afraid that Mr. Millete would find out.
did you advise her to leave the house at any time?
No, I did not.
After you spoke to the Chula Vista police, what did they indicate to you, or were they going to? What did they tell you that they were going to do?
They didn't say anything, they just said thank you, and they would contact me if they needed anything else.
Then it took until June when you spoke to some investigator?
I believe so, yes.
Well, you spoke to them in June of 2022, I believe. Do you still recall all the details that happened between you and Miss Millete in January 7, 2021?
There are some things you're not gonna forget.
Okay, so, mm, trend from your country June to the invader. Word dates and pieces
I
that you talked
remember,
about.
I remember her not feeling comfortable coming to the office. I remember her not feeling able to pay the retainer out of the fund that would be able to see. And her daughter's birthday.
Anything else? That you can remember?
I'm sorry. Is there, right now, that's what I have. Sorry.
So, did you receive any additional in June of regarding Miss Millete?
Not that I recall.
How long do you retain your client office?
We keep the physical files in storage. I believe it is for 5 years. I'm not 100% sure, but I actually think it'd be 10 years that we keep it in storage. But we have the electronic records stored indefinitely.
And in the event that I would request those records, would I be able to just send a request to your office and would be provided to my office?
Objection relevance. Questioning for approval.
Sustained pursuant to Penal Code Section 866A. Preliminary hearing is not to be used for discovery purposes.
What can I ask?
Sustained. Counsel, you'll have to abide by the regular discovery procedures. The purpose of this hearing is not for discovery.
Can I ask another question regarding that, Your Honor? Is it restricted for your office to provide me a
No,
copy?
you can't.
Okay, so
You know how to do it. This is not.
I understand, Your Honor. The difficulty is Ms. Millete is not around to sign an authorization, or I could request counsel to obtain that for me, I suppose.
Regardless,
Yes.
move on. It is not a legitimate question for a preliminary
I withdraw the question then.
question. I've sustained the objection.
It was your understanding that Ms. Millete was going to have a trip to go to Big Bear, correct?
Correct.
She told you that clearly.
Yes.
And you believe she was going to go to Big Bear on Saturday?
I don't recall if she told me they were leaving on that Friday, like afternoon or Saturday morning. I don't remember the exact date that they were leaving and the exact date they were coming back. I don't remember those. Exact details.
Miss Millete
I did not ask.
describe her or taking in Why was it out of the ordinary?
It's unusual for somebody to relay that they are able to come to our office because they are normally at an appointment. You know, people just decide to come.
So she was nervous and yet she became excited when she was talking to you about the trip to Big Bear.
Yes. I'm sorry, I missed the first part of that sentence, but the excited about Big Bear Party, yes.
Boys, because you didn't see her, just the boys.
Mhm.
And you said she was nervous. And so how did you turn that from her voice?
So part of my job is to, you know, talk to people. So when we're talking about the things that are difficult and the not feeling comfortable part of coming to the office and setting an appointment and those kind of issues, people, you know, show their emotions. But then when it comes light, I'm a mother too. We talked about Big Bear and, you know, how beautiful it is and how fun it, you know, it is with kids at that age. And, you know, so I feel like it was just a way for me to kind of open up and make her feel comfortable, you know, as far as talking. So it's just a natural thing.
But after that, you were able to calm her down and she was excited talking to you about the Big
I
Bear
wasn't
trip?
able to calm her down. We discussed, I don't want to say bonded because that's a very strong word, but we related on the fact that we were moms. We went to Big Bear. It was something she was very much looking forward to spending that time.
To what she had already told you about Mr. Millete, did she describe him further to you as far as just general information?
I don't remember any particular details about his person per se, just his demeanor.
I see. Did you discuss the child custody?
No, we did not.
Did you understand that Mr. Millete
I would say that she had no access to any accounts. I know that she did not feel comfortable out.
she never said ability to access any of our joint accounts?
Not that I
Did she express to you any concerns regarding the safety of their children?
no.
Did she express to you that she was looking for another place to move in?
I don't remember. I believe so, but I don't remember for sure.
Did she mention to you that she wanted to move out of their house?
I believe she did.
Do you have any more regarding that conversation in reference to her moving out of the house?
No.
Do you understand that she was planning on moving out of the house?
No. Would imagine that that would be something that she would discuss more in detail with the attorney when she had her appointment.
When we're taking the intake information based on you as a manager, you were assessing the issues that you needed to know in order to properly refer her to the right department, you said, right?
Correct.
And those referral to the right department would be based on present complaints. Is that right? Her present complaints when she was talking to you.
Well, we have two departments and they're very separate. So it's a couple of questions, probate or family law.
She did not express to you that she was interested in trying to write a will or make a will?
No,
Okay. Did she ask you about mortgage and real estate? She asked you anything about division of community properties?
she may have asked. That wouldn't be something that I would be able to advise her on. So if she did ask, I would have told her that those are, questions that she can talk to the attorney about in her consultation.
Did she indicate to you whether they're heavily in debt or having problems with finances, paying their debts?
Not that I recall.
She did.
I mean, we do family law, so that I don't. I know
It could be useful to her at that point.
no, she wasn't the client, and there was nothing for me to, do in the meantime.
Okay. And you felt you did your obligation and duty towards her.
Objection relevance.
State,
That's all I have, Your Honor.
redirect.
Couple of questions. May I approach the witness room?
You may. I'm sorry, why? Do you need something?
Sorry?
Why?
Oh, to show her anything?
Yes.
I'm going to show you People's 22-8. Sorry, Courts Exhibit 22-8.
And on the left side of that exhibit is locked with the looks like related to Broad-in-Law.
Correct.
Is that the correct phone number for Broad-in-Law?
Yes, it is.
And and testified that general kind of initial comment on her, we were within about 10 minutes of that phone call.
Yes.
You made a comment on cross-examination regarding your memory of this phone call, and you said there's some things you're not going to forget. What did you mean by that?
It's part of my job to speak to people in some of the most difficult times. And you never expect to hang up the phone and be in a situation where, everything's changed for their family. And there's just certain things about that will live with me forever. I do feel some remorse for sending her and take her. Like that was maybe something discoverable, and it has made me question my role. And for that, I'm just not gonna forget it.
And is it your fault of
Any further questions?
no, yeah.
May the witness be excused or subject to recall?
She may be excused.
She may be excused, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. That concludes your testimony. You may call your next witness.
Thank you. I need to call David Garber.
again be sworn in by the clerk, please?
You solemnly state under penalty of perjury, the testimony you provide in this matter will be the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes, I do.
Thank you. Sir, can you please spell or state your name and spell your last name for the record?
My name is David Garber, Garver.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good.
What do you do for a living?
I'm a forensic specialist with the Chula Vista Police Department.
And do you have a particular title with the Chula Vista Police Department?
Forensic specialist is my job title.
Are you a sworn police officer?
I am not. I'm a civilian employee.
Can you tell us a little bit, well, first of all, how long have you worked for the Chula Vista Police Department?
Approximately 18 years.
And have you been employed as a forensic crime scene specialist that entire time?
Yes, I have.
Prior to your work with the Chula Vista Police Department, were you employed somewhere else?
I was.
Where were you employed?
I was employed by the Honolulu Police Department.
How long did you work there?
I worked there for about 5 years.
And what did you do there?
Essentially the same duties as I do at Chula Vista. I'm a crime scene investigator.
And can you just kind of briefly describe for us what that means?
So job duties include responding to crime scenes, documenting the crime scene through photographs and sketching, collecting evidence, processing for latent prints, and I do other specialized techniques such as bloodstain pattern analysis and shooting incident reconstruction.
And when the Chula Vista Police Department goes out to serve a search warrant, for example, you also take photographs to document a scene or house or location of where that search warrant took place.
Yes, I do.
And did you assist in documenting a scene during various search warrants involving the disappearance and then later murder investigation regarding Maya Millete?
Yes, I did.
Did you take photographs to document the residence of the Millete family at 2413 Paseo Los Gatos on January 23rd, 2021?
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about the process of how you go about taking photos.
Forensic
During
photography.
a search warrant, I guess.
Sorry. Forensic photography process. You start with a generalized view of the scene, placing that scene within a jurisdiction. Then you move into the next section or segment of photographs. Those are setting the scene. You photograph different elements with the scene with one another so that you can put yourself in the scene, and then finally you would photograph individual items that are relevant to the scene, such as evidence or link prints.
Have you reviewed the photos that you took to document the Millete house on January 23rd?
Yes, I have.
Your Honor, may I approach to direct the witness to People's Court Exhibit 2?
Yes.
So there's a series of photos. They start with 2-1, and I'm going to ask you to kind of go through those photos with us to orientate to the house that we're talking about. And so go ahead and put up on the screen there a photograph of Court's Exhibit 2-1. Do you recognize what we see in that photograph?
Yes, I do. That's the same photograph that I'm viewing in the binder.
And what is that photograph of?
This is a photograph of the front of the house at 2413 Paseo Los Gatos.
2-2 is also projected up on the screen. Can you tell us what we see in that photograph?
This photograph is also what I'm viewing in the binder, and this is a photograph of a black Lexus SUV that was parked in the driveway.
Photograph, I'm sorry, Court's Exhibit 2-3. What are we looking at in this photograph? And what perspective do we have here?
In this photograph, I'm standing in the front right-hand corner of the yard. If you were facing the house, I would be in the right side of the photograph. Towards the front door.
And that's the photograph on the screen is the same as what you're looking at there?
Yes, the photograph on the screen is the same as in the binder.
And photograph 2-4, or Courts Exhibit 2-4, what are we looking at there?
The photograph that's projected is the same as what I'm looking at in the binder. And this is a photograph of the front door of the residence.
And looking at Courts Exhibit 2-5, can you tell us what we're looking at in that photograph?
Courts Exhibit 2-5, what's projected is the same as what's in the binder. And this is a photograph of the front door, but this time it's taken from within the residence.
And so it's labeled here entryway, that would be the photograph we just saw, enter through the front door, that would be the entryway of the residence.
Correct.
And again, these photos are all the way the residence looked on January 23rd, 2021, correct?
That's correct.
Looking at Courts Exhibit 2-6, tell us what we're looking at there in relation to the photo we just looked at.
The photograph in the binder is the same as what's projected. In this photograph, this is a photograph of the living room, and the location of the living room is as you enter the house, it's off to the right of the front door.
Courts Exhibit 2-7, what are we looking at here?
This exhibit that's displayed is the same that's in the binder. This is another photograph of the living room. In this photograph, I've proceeded to the back wall of the photograph, and I'm photographing towards the stairway, the front stairway, and the front door. The front door would be located on the left edge of this photograph.
So going back to 2-6, we see that Christmas tree, and it looks like a piano kind of in the background of the photo. And then looking at Courts 2-7, this photograph looks like it's looking out back over that piano.
That's correct.
Courts Exhibit 2-8, what are we looking at here?
The exhibit that's displayed is the same that's in the binder. This is this is a photograph of the front hallway of the residence. On the left edge of the photograph is the front door, and the front stairway proceeds from the middle of the photograph towards the top.
And it looks like kind of by the front door, there's a shelf, or kind of a shelving unit. Do you recall what was in that shelving unit?
The brown shelving unit?
Yes.
Those were shoes.
And then kind of like a red armoire type thing, or another kind of entryway unit. What was in that unit?
In that unit, as you can see, there are backpacks and outerwear for the different individuals that live in the household.
Looking at Courts Exhibit 2-9, what are we looking at there?
The exhibit that's displayed is the same that is in the binder. In this photograph, we're looking at a hallway that stems off of that front hallway. This hallway leads to the garage, room that's on the first floor, and a bathroom that's back there.
So the doorway that we're looking at, the door that we're looking at, kind of straight on in this photo, 2-9, where does that door lead to?
Following the hallway straight down, that doorway in the middle of the frame leads to the garage.
And if you were to turn left, where would you end up?
Turning left on that hallway, you would end up at a bathroom.
And what about turning right before you get to the door that leads to the garage?
To the right is a bedroom.
Looking at Courts Exhibit 2-10, what are we looking at in that photograph?
This exhibit is the same that's in the binder. In this exhibit, there are two photographs. On the photograph, we're looking at a closet that's in that hallway that leads to the garage. As you can see on the left edge of the photograph, there's that red armoire that was in the front hallway. And then the photograph on the right hand of this exhibit is what was inside of that closet. Shows a safe and some jackets.
And what was located inside that closet of significance, if you recall?
The significance was that safe.
Was there something inside the safe?
I recovered a few firearms and some digital storage devices out of that safe.
Looking at Courts Exhibit 2-11, what are we looking at in that photograph?
In this photograph, what's displayed is the same that's in the binder. This is the living room that's situated next to that room with the piano and across from the hallway leading to the garage. The red armoires center this photograph to give you reference of positioning.
So looking out over that dining room table towards that door is again, that door leads to the garage.
That is correct.
Looking at 2-12, what is that a photograph of?
This exhibit, which is the same that's in the binder, this is the bathroom that was located in the hallway leading to the garage.
I think you had said as you go to the garage, that door leading to the garage, if you turn left, you'd see this bathroom.
That's correct.
And then 2-13, what are we looking at there?
In this exhibit, which is the same that's in this binder, this is these are photographs of that room that's on the first floor. Photograph towards the right. I'm standing within the room, photographing over the bed that's located in that room. On the left edge is the door that leads up to that hallway, which leads to the garage. And then in the left-hand photograph, that's a photograph of the closet in that same bedroom.
The clothing in that closet, you can tell whether it's male, female,
Clothing, primarily male looking clothing.
and did it appear to be adult or a child's male clothing?
Adult clothing.
Looking at 2-14, what are we looking at there? What perspective are we looking at in the dining room?
In this exhibit, which is the same that's in the binder, this is the dining room that's located in the residence. So this room is adjacent to that front room with the piano and across from the hallway that leads to the garage.
And when you say adjacent, is there a wall or anything in between those two rooms? The front room with the piano and the dining room area?
It's a half wall. As you can see on the right edge of the photograph, there's the plant on top of the black piano.
Looking at 2-15, what are we looking at here?
This exhibit that's projected is the same that I'm viewing in the binder. This is a photograph of a small hallway or an entryway from that dining room into the kitchen. This is kind of on the back side of that dining room.
So if we're looking back at 2-14, where would that kind of passageway to the kitchen be in this photograph?
That passageway is towards the left edge, center edge of the photograph. My pointer is going up and down right.
So kind of up in the left, and about in the middle of the photograph, just to the left of the light fixture, appears to be a doorway, and you're kind of indicating in that area.
That is correct.
And for the record, he actually did use the laser pointer to highlight that.
So walking through that little passageway, what room would you end up through?
So walking through this passageway, you end up in the kitchen.
2-16, what are we looking at here?
The exhibit that's projected is the same that I'm viewing in the binder. This is a photograph of the kitchen. In this photograph, I've walked through that passageway just into the kitchen and photographed along one wall of the kitchen.
And if you were to, it looks like there's a TV, can you describe kind of if you were to walk towards that TV in the house as you walk from the kitchen towards that TV room?
So as you walk through the kitchen, once you pass the island that's in the foreground of the photograph, you will come to the back stairway of the residence, which is kind of the center of this photograph going up, and then into the TV room.
And then it looks like there's kind of some red drapes there on a, to the right. What is that?
That's a door that leads to the backyard.
2-17, what are we looking at here?
In Exhibit 2-17, that's what's projected is the same as what's in the binder. This is another photograph of the kitchen. In this photograph, I've just moved to the another kitchen and photographed back towards the kitchen and the back stairway.
What about, of course, exhibit 2-18?
This exhibit, which is the same that's in the binder, this is a photograph of the back stairway. I've climbed up the stairway and photographed back down towards the TV room. So the couch that's kind of lower center of the photograph, that's in that TV room.
Courts exhibit 2-19, what are we looking at here?
Is the same that is in this binder. This is a photograph of the front stairway. So now I've moved to the front of the residence and photographing from the entrance up towards the second floor.
And if you were to walk up the front staircase, where would you be in relation to walking up the stairs from the back staircase?
The two staircases meet at a landing, kind of the center right of this photograph. And using my pointer, it's sort of this area.
So indicating kind of essentially at the top of the stairs. 2-20, which is projected up on the screen now. What are we looking at here?
This projected is the same that's in this binder. And this is a photograph of that landing where the two stairways meet. In this photograph, I'm photographing from the main bedroom's door looking towards the landing of the stairways.
And there's kind of looks like a red bucket on the floor. Can you use that at all to orientate us to where the staircases end up?
Yes, that red bucket is on that landing where the two staircases meet. So on the left edge of this photograph is the staircase that leads to the front door. And on the right side of the photograph is the staircases that leads to the TV room.
And the vantage point of this photograph is from where?
This is pretty much the doorway to the main bedroom.
Of course, exhibit 2-21, what are we looking at?
In this exhibit, what's projected is the same as what's in the binder. In this photograph, I'm essentially standing where that red bucket was located, facing towards the doorway to the main bedroom, which is what's on the left edge of that photograph.
Okay, so I'm sorry.
The doorway to the main bedroom is sort of the left half of the photograph.
And through the doorway, we see like a dresser and a mirror.
Correct.
Looking at 2-22, what are we looking at in this exhibit?
This exhibit 222 is the same as what's in the binder. This photograph is another view of the entrance into the main bedroom. Right at the very edge of this photograph, you see the front edge of that dresser with the mirror. And then on the left side is the doorway that leads up to the front and back steps.
Looking at 2-23, what are we looking at in this?
This photograph, what's displayed is the same that's in the binder. This photograph is looking into the main bedroom. Essentially, I'm standing at that doorway, looking towards the back of the house, or the back of the bedroom.
The inside that main bedroom?
Correct.
2-24, what are we looking at in this photograph?
In this photograph, what is displayed is the same as in the binder. This is the desk that is in the main bedroom. This photograph just shows a computer and some other electronics that were on the desk.
And again, this is the way the desk looked January 23rd, 2021.
That's correct.
2-25, what are we looking at in this photograph?
This photograph, which is the same as in the binder, this is another photograph of the main bedroom. In this photograph, I'm standing next to the desk, photographing towards the one of the walls of the bedroom. Off to my left in this photograph would be the door leading to a patio on the master or the main bedroom, and as you can see on the right edge is the bed in the bedroom.
2-26, what are we looking at in this photograph?
This photograph, which is the same as in the binder, this is another view of the main bedroom. I've moved to the corner that was just photographed, and I'm photographing back towards the entrance of the bedroom. It shows the bed in the front, the foreground of the photograph, and then in the background you can see the mirrored door leading into the closet of the main bedroom.
Okay. And then I'm going to just zoom in on something as well. Do you recall what was on the shelf next to the entrance to the closet?
There were numerous purses on the shelf.
Looking at 2-27, what are we looking at in this photograph?
This photograph is the same as what's in the binder. It's another view of the master bedroom. On the right edge of this photograph in the background is the entrance to the bedroom. In the center of the photograph is the entrance into the closet.
2-28, what are we looking at in this photo?
This photograph, what's displayed is what is in the binder. This is a photograph of the closet in the main bedroom.
And did you go into the closet in the main bedroom?
Yes, I did.
And what, describe what you saw inside the closet?
Inside the closet, it's a walk-in closet. It's kind of divided in half by a series of shelves, a shelf unit. There's clothes all along the walls of each of the whole closet, and then in the shelf unit are boxes of more clothing, purses, and personal items.
2-29, what are we looking at in these two photographs?
The photograph that's displayed is the same that is in the binder. In this exhibit, the photograph on the left-hand side is a photograph of the closet. In this view, I'm photographing out towards the main bedroom. And then the photograph on the right-hand side, I've walked around that divider, the cabinet divider in the closet, and photographing towards the back wall of the photograph, back wall of the closet in this photograph.
And could you tell whether or not this was adult or children's clothing?
Primarily adult type clothing.
And male or female?
Majority was female clothing.
And 2-30, what are we looking at there?
This is another photograph within the main closet. This photograph is kind of the bottom level of clothes that were hanging along the back wall of the closet.
Now, looking at different photos of the closet, were there any sections of clothing that appeared to be missing? Anything that indicated that certain things, clothing had been removed from the closet?
The closet appeared to be completely full of clothing.
Looking at 2-31, what are we looking at here? What's our vantage point here in this photograph?
And this exhibit, which is the same as what's in this binder, this is a photograph of the main bedroom. In this photograph, I'm standing essentially in front of the rack of purses, looking towards the bathroom that's connected to this bedroom.
And if you recall, what was on the shelving unit right next to that bathroom?
More purses and personal items.
Looking at 2-32, what are we looking at in this photograph?
In this exhibit, which is the same as in the binder, this is 2 photographs of the bathroom in the main bedroom. If you were to walk into that area towards the right, would be the right-hand photograph. You would see the bathtub. To the left, as you entered, is our sinks and vanities, and then a toilet area. The glass squares that are shown on the right-hand edge of the left photograph, that's the shower within that bathroom.
So if you were to walk into the bathroom, essentially you'd see the photo on the right, to the right, the bathtub, and the photo on the left, to the left as you walk in.
That's correct.
Looking at 2-33, what is this photograph of?
The exhibit that's displayed is the same that's in the binder. And this is a photograph of one of the sink and vanity areas within that main bathroom. On the left-hand edge of the photograph are those glass squares of the shower.
And again, did it appear that there was kind of items missing, or in other words, were there any areas that appeared to be missing items of makeup or toiletry type things in the vanity area?
Nothing seemed to be out of the ordinary, in my view.
Looking at 2-34, what are we looking at in this photograph?
The photograph that's displayed is the same that's in the binder. In this photograph, I've moved from the main bedroom out into the hallway on the second floor. Essentially, I'm standing at the meeting point of the front and back stairways, but I'm photographing towards the front of the house.
And as you're photographing towards the front of the house, can you tell what name is on that doorway towards the front of the house?
That's Laura.
How's that spelled?
Lara.
That's how it's spelled.
It's spelled Lara.
2-35 is up on the screen now. What are we looking at in that photograph?
The photographs that are displayed are the same that's in the binder. These 2 photographs are of a bedroom on the second level. What you're seeing in the photograph on the left-hand edge of this display, it's a photograph from within the bedroom showing the front door, looking out towards the front door of the room, or the door of the room. And in the right-hand photograph, it's a photograph from the doorway looking into the room.
And can you kind of describe how it appeared this room was used?
This room appeared to be just extra, like a storage room.
And where is the house 2 stories?
Yes, it is.
And this extra bedroom is on the second story.
That's correct.
And then looking at 2-36, what are we looking at in this photograph?
This exhibit is the same as what's in the binder. This exhibit shows 2 photographs. This is a room that's directly across from where the 2 stairs meet. This is on the second floor. In the right-hand photograph, you can see the doorway into a bathroom. a hallway bathroom there, which is center of that photograph. On the left edge of that photograph is the door into the laundry room. And then the photograph on the left-hand half of this display is a photograph of that laundry room. For reference, the shoe rack that's depicted in the right-hand photograph is the shoe rack that's displayed on the door in the left-hand photograph.
And
And you just use your laser pointer to the location of the shoe rack in both those.
Yes, I did use laser pointer.
and kind of in the photo, the photo on the right hand side, it looks like a painting on the wall with kind of an orange color. Where in relation to that painting then is that extra bedroom? Just so we can kind of orientate where if you were just in the extra bedroom, how did you get to where the hallway, bathroom, and laundry are?
So the extra bedroom is on the other side of that painting. Using my laser pointer on the right-hand edge of the right photograph, you can see just the bottom part of the doorway leading into that extra room.
Looking at 2-37, what are we looking at in this photograph?
This photograph that's displayed is the same that's in this binder. And this is a photograph of the doorway leading into the first bedroom you would come across as you were in the second floor hallway.
I am not going to project 2-38. But can you tell us what is depicted in 2-38?
Exhibit 2-30 depicts two photographs of that first bedroom on the second floor. Now, one of the photographs shows the bed in the room, and the second shows kind of the desk. And
Did you say that was the
first floor hall.
And with that would be not counting the quote unquote extra bedroom.
That is correct.
Okay, so this bedroom would be the first bedroom that you come across in addition to the main bedroom that appear to be inhabited as a bedroom.
Correct.
Is that fair to say? And can you, is it fair to say it looked like a child's bedroom?
That's fair to say.
And in fact, was it identified as one of the children by the name of Melanie in her bedroom?
Yes, it was.
Now, looking at 2-39, what do we see in that photograph?
In exhibit 2-39, this is a photograph on the second floor of the residence. This photograph shows a hallway which leads into sort of a loft area that's on the second floor.
So, if we back up to when you were standing from the main bedroom, well, actually, take that back. When you were kind of standing in the hallway for the second floor, looking down towards the bedroom with the name Laura on it, how would you get to this little hallway if you were walking down the hallway towards Laura's bedroom?
So this hallway is just in front of that doorway leading into Lara's bedroom.
Looking at 2-40, what are we looking at in that photograph?
This exhibit is the same as what's in the binder. This is a photograph of that loft room. I'm standing on the wall that's above the kind of front entrance, looking towards the side of the house. In this photograph, you can see a desk that's on the left-hand edge, and a couch and boxes that are on the other side of the photograph.
Looking at 2-41, what are we looking at in this photograph?
In this exhibit, which is the same that's in this binder, this is another photograph of that loft room. In this photograph, I'm photographing towards the hallway leading to the bedrooms. On the right-hand edge of the photograph is the desk That was in the previous exhibit.
And so as you look, there's a couple of open doorways. And as you look out in the foreground of this photograph, what would be those doorways? Just to orientate us to what we just saw.
The doorways that are in the photograph, using my pointer, the doorway that's on the kind of the right half of the photograph depicts the laundry room. If you look carefully, you can see that same shoe rack on the doorway. And then using my pointer, the doorway that's on the left half of the photograph is the doorway into the main laundry's room.
2-42, I'm not going to project. Can you tell us what we see in that photograph?
In this exhibit, it's two photographs of Laura's room. One of the photographs and the other photograph shows the closet and the doorway.
And similarly, I'm not going to project 2-43. What do we see in that?
A desk that's in Laura's room.
Looking at 2-44, what do we see in that photograph?
The exhibit that's displayed is the same as this binder. This photograph is taken outside of the house. It's the side yard of the residence. So for reference, one of the first photographs that we talked about was a photograph from corner of the front yard, which was the right-hand side as you face the house. This is that same side of the house, just the backyard.
Go ahead.
So in this photograph, I'm shooting from the backyard towards the front yard, that front right corner.
And if you were standing in the front yard or in the street in front of the house, would this be on the right or left side?
This would be on the right-hand side of the house.
Showing you 2-45, what are we looking at in that photograph?
This exhibit, which is the same that's in this binder, this is a photograph of the back corner of the backyard. This is that same right-hand side of the house. So if you're facing the house, this is along the right-hand side of it. In this photograph, you can see a fireplace and then a black fence that runs along the back of the backyard.
Can you tell us a little bit about how that backyard is situated with that black fence?
So the yard, it borders kind of an easement, a city easement. I think there's a drainage or a walkway back there. So that black fence, I believe, belongs to the city and is used to create the boundary of the house to that easement.
But then kind of on the other side then of that easement would be the backs of another set of houses.
Correct.
Looking at 2-46, what are we looking at in this photograph?
This exhibit is the same that's in this binder. This is a photograph essentially taken in front of that fireplace. This is photographed back towards the house. The balcony that you see on the house, that is attached to the main room of the house. And underneath that balcony, that's the kitchen of the residence.
So that where the balcony is, that would be that main bedroom with the walk-in closet and the attached bathroom with the women's clothing in that closet. That balcony would go to that bedroom.
That's correct.
Sorry, which bedroom was that again?
The main bedrooms. And then 2-47, what are we looking at in this photograph?
This photograph that's displayed is the same that's in this binder. This is another photograph of this, I should say, this is a photograph of the side of the house. If you were standing in front of the house looking at it, this would be along the left edge of the property. In this photograph, I'm standing at the backyard, photographing towards the front.
Of both fronts.
It's mostly hard to see.
I have a question, 247-47. Was that how it has a number of shovels and other types of equipment leaning against the wall? Was that how it was when you went to photograph it?
Yes, I photographed the crime scene as is, nothing's moved.
Did any of the law enforcement officers executing the search warrant place those items?
Not that I'm aware.
Looking at 2-48, what are we looking at in that photograph?
This exhibit that's displayed is the same that's in the binder. This is a photograph of a truck that was parked inside the garage of the residence.
And just to kind of jump back to the question that the judge was asking, when you go to assist to document execution of search warrant, is there a standard procedure with regard to taking photos before or after the search is conducted?
Yes.
Tell us about that.
So when we arrive at a crime scene, generally crime breaks down in the incident. After that point, the first thing that is done is I go through and take of the scene as is prior to any search that's conducted. After completion of the search, I'll go back and photograph the scene as we left it after the search.
All right, thank you. I have no other questions.
We're going to take a break at 3:15.
Let's take a break, Hannah.
At 3:15.
15 minutes. Okay.
Yes.
Good afternoon, Mr. Garvey.
Good afternoon.
How many vehicles did you find in the house when you were there on January 23, 2021?
I believe there were 3 vehicles at the residence.
Did you take photographs of the vehicles?
Yes, I did take photographs of the vehicles.
Could you tell us what kind of vehicles were there?
There's the truck, the Toyota truck, that was parked in the garage. There was the black Lexus that was parked in the driveway, and then there was a black Jeep that was also parked in the driveway.
Were you able to go into the entire garage, and did you take photographs of the entire garage?
Yes, this truck was moved out of the garage, and the officers searched the entire garage.
Did those officers take more photographs, more than what you did?
No, it's my responsibility to take the photographs.
Since you are responsible as a forensic analyst, is that what they call you? Forensic analyst?
My job title is forensics specialist.
A specialist. So what exactly were you looking for?
That's outside my job duties. My job duties are to photograph the scene and to collect evidence identified by investigators as being relevant to the crime or the search warrant, and then process related prints if it's requested.
So during the January 23, 2021 visit at Mr. Millete's house, did you collect items inside the house?
Yes, I did.
So did you take photographs of those items?
Yes, I did.
Did you provide those items to council?
Upon completion of my duties as a search warrant, I write a report that details the photographs that I've taken, evidence that's collected, and any other duties that I've done at the crime scene. And that report is then funneled through investigators to the DA's office.
Did you take photographs of what's inside the safe deposit box that
I'm
you
sorry.
showed on the photograph?
Can you repeat that question?
One of the photographs showed a room or a closet that contained a safe deposit box. You recall that picture?
Yes, I recall the safe within the closet, yes.
Did you open that safe deposit box and take a photograph of the contents of the safe deposit box?
I don't remember exactly if I did take a picture of the contents of the safe deposit box within that safe.
You don't remember seeing the interior of the safe deposit box?
I remember seeing the inside of the safe. I don't remember the safe deposit box within the safe.
Can you describe what you saw in the safe deposit box?
I don't recall the safe deposit box within the safe. I could describe what's in the safe to the best of my recollection, but I don't remember a safe deposit box within the safe.
Okay, so what did you see? Describe what you saw inside the safe.
Inside the safe were a number of firearms. I believe there was some valuable coins within the safe. There was some digital storage devices like SD cards, memory sticks within that safe. And I believe there was some ammo.
Did you see any jewelry inside the safe?
Not that I recall.
Did you see any tapes inside the safe?
Any tapes as in videotapes?
Correct.
Not that I recall.
How about money? Did you see any inside the safe?
Other than what was described as valuable coins within the safe, no.
Did you remove any documents inside the house?
I may have removed some documents as evidence from the house. I would have to refer to my report to clarify.
Can you describe how much evidence of documents you took from the house?
Off the top of my head, no, I cannot. I would need to review my report to give you that answer.
Can you estimate it?
Counsel, would you like him to look at the report so it can refresh
Okay.
your recollection?
Did you have an opportunity to enter the master's bedroom in the second floor and exit through a door leading to the balcony that's connected to the master's bedroom?
I don't remember if I exited the main bedroom onto the balcony or not.
So to the best of your recollection, you did not photograph the balcony itself.
I photographed it. We displayed a photograph of the balcony from the backyard.
Right, but from the master's bedroom going out into the door leading to the balcony, do you remember photographing or picturing that space?
No, I don't recall.
During your walk inside and outside of the house, did you see a ladder?
I don't recall if I saw a ladder or not.
Do you recall taking the photograph of the interior of a shower room in the master's bedroom?
Yes.
Okay. And when you entered the shower room in the master's bedroom, what did you observe?
As I entered that back to the right is a tub. Directly in center of the bathroom is the shower, and to the left would be the vanity sinks and a toilet.
Were there any damages to the walls inside the master's bedroom?
There was the walls and ceiling of the bathroom in the main bedroom were unpainted as if they had been refinished. I remember that. There was damage to the door leading to the main bedroom, which was depicted in one of the photographs.
So you're describing a damage to the door as you enter the master's bedroom, correct?
Correct. The
That-
main bedroom.
You described has a damage.
It had a patch on the door.
Can you describe the patch? Is it dry? Is it wet? Is it new?
It was dry.
Can you tell if it has been recently repaired?
No, I cannot tell that.
Did you find any items inside the house that has been broken?
Not that I recall.
Besides the master's bedroom patch that you described, were there any other damages to any of the doors of the house?
Not that I recall.
We're going to take our 15-minute recess at this time.
So Garber, the photograph of the exterior of the house, when you took a photograph of the fireplace, were you able to see inside the fireplace if there was, some burn material inside the fireplace?
Not when I took that photograph, no. I didn't look inside the fireplace.
Okay, so there were no photographs of the inside of the fireplace.
No, not that I recall.
How about inside the house? Did you see a fireplace inside the house?
No, I don't remember a fireplace being inside the house.
Were you able to photograph the gates on the left hand side and the right hand side? Were there gates exiting towards the front of the house?
Yes, there were gates, both right and left hand side. I didn't take specific photographs of those gates, but those gates are in photographs that I took.
Do you recall if it was easy to exit those gates?
I don't remember trying to go through those gates.
Okay. How about the backyard? Did you see any exit gates in the backyard?
Other than the two that we had just discussed, no, there were not any other exit gates.
Okay. Now, as a forensic specialist, is it part of your job to take photographs of the attic as well?
If I'm asked to take photographs in the attic, yes, I will go and take photographs.
In this case, did you take photographs of the attic?
No, I did not.
Was there a basement in this house?
No.
Okay. At the time that you took the photographs, were there any residents in the house?
Yes, there were.
Can you identify those residents?
It was the Millete family, and I believe one of the parents and spouse of Larry. I believe the parents of Larry were in.
Were they exactly in the interior of the house when you were taking the photographs?
They were inside the house the whole time we were there. Yes.
Were they the ones who gave you the description of whose room this particular room is?
No, those descriptions were given to me by the detectives.
Oh, okay. And you were able to label those photographs as you were doing your tour inside the house.
I'm not sure what you're asking.
As you were taking photographs, did you have an opportunity to mark each room to identify them later?
The rooms are identified from the actual photograph,
Meaning,
meaning I take a picture of the room and that room is in the photograph. I don't do any other labeling into the photographs.
okay. And you would not be able to describe who was actually occupying a certain room in that house based on your photographs.
Well, there were names of the two children on the doors to their rooms. That would be a good indicator of whose room those were. As far as the main room, I couldn't tell you who was in that room. As far as the extra room, I do not know who was living in that room. For the room that was on the first floor, I was told by the detectives that it was Larry's parents that were staying in that room.
What about the second floor master's bedroom? Were you told by the detectives who was using that room when you took the photographs?
Objection, relevance, hearsay.
Can you repeat the question?
At the time that he took the photographs in the master's bedroom, were you able to determine who was in fact using the master's bedroom?
Your objection?
Well, that's a different question, so I have no objection.
All right. You can answer.
Based on just photographs of me being there, no, I could not tell who was in that room. I was told by the detectives this is the main bedroom, which typically is occupied by the adults of the household.
So you wouldn't be able to assess whether Miss Millete took a lot of makeup before she was gone from the house, right?
No, I would not.
You would not be able to assess based on your visit there and your photographs whether she packed some clothes, correct?
Correct.
Same thing with her purses.
Correct.
Was there anything that you saw that day inside that house that was suspicious to you that a crime occurred inside that house?
That's not my job to determine whether or not a crime has occurred. My job is to document the scene that I'm at.
As just a lay person, did you see anything that would lead you to believe that a crime was committed inside the house?
I'm not a lay person, though. I'm an expert in forensic. I'm a forensic specialist. I'm expert in crime scene documentation and evidence collection, so I don't consider myself a lay person.
Well, then, as a crime scene investigator or specialist, did you have any opinion as to whether a crime was committed inside the house?
Once again, it's not my job to determine whether or not a crime has occurred. I document a crime scene as it is when I arrive.
How do you know that it's a crime scene?
That's a term that is given to this scene from police work, from the detectives. This case, it was a search warrant scene, but generally called a crime scene.
Do you know when that place became a crime scene?
Objection made.
You can answer if you understand.
No, I don't know if that place has ever been a crime scene.
So you were just taking photographs, right?
And collecting evidence and preparing the sketch.
And when you collected those items inside the house, what did you do with them?
Those items were packaged at the scene, then transported back to the police department, where they were secured in our evidence examination room until I had time to document them through photographs and log them on an evidence sheet. Then those packages were sealed, and the sealed and labeled evidence was then submitted into our property room under chain of custody.
So as soon as you took those items, you packed them up and loaded them in your vehicle,
That's correct.
and then you transported them to the Chula Vista Police Department.
Correct.
Is that right?
That's right.
And when you reached the Chula Vista Police Department, you listed them one by one?
When I arrived at the Chula Vista Police Department
Right.
on January 23rd, 2021, they were secured within our evidence exam room. At a later date, that is when they were photographed again, packaged and sealed, and then submitted into the evidence room.
When you say secured, what do you mean by that?
They're in a locked room with limited access. Only a certain number of people are allowed to go into that room.
Are you allowed to enter that secured room?
Yes, I'm allowed to enter that secured room.
And have you seen those items since you took them from the house of Mr. Millete?
I have not removed those items from our property room since I submitted them into evidence.
So that means you didn't re-examine them again, right?
That's correct.
Did you take any firearms with you on that day, January 23rd?
Yes, I did.
How many firearms
I
did you take?
believe I took 4 firearms.
Are you able to identify those firearms today if they are presented to you?
I would be able to identify them, yes.
When you identified the firearms, did you list any identifying numbers on your inventory list?
If those firearms had a serial number, yes, I would document that serial number. If the actual ones that I recovered that day, I would have to refer to my report to tell you if they did have serial numbers or not.
Today, as you sit here, do you remember writing the serial number on the inventory list?
I would have to refer to my report to determine if there were serial numbers.
And were those firearms stored in the same locked, secured room as the other items?
They were temporarily stored in the exam room until they're packaged and submitted into evidence, yes.
Were you personally present when that was happening?
When what was happening?
You know, as far as the firearms, the processing and transferring or packaging, were you actually present when they were doing that?
Objection vague, as to they.
Do you understand the question?
Yes.
Over.
Once an item of evidence is recovered at a crime scene or a search warrant, that item is in my property. I maintain custody of that item all the way through until it is submitted to our evidence warehouse. So yes, I was the one who transported it, packaged, documented it, packaged it, and submitted it into the warehouse. At that point, that item is no longer in my custody.
Okay. And who would gain custody at that point?
The employees in our property and evidence room.
How many firearms were left inside the house after you took those 4 firearms on January 23, 2021?
I don't know how many were left in the house.
Did you have an opportunity to count the total firearms inside the safe?
No, just the ones that I took out of the safe.
Is there any reason why you only took 4?
Those are the ones I was instructed to take.
When you were taking photographs inside the house, was there any portion of the house besides the safe that contained any firearms?
Not that I recall, no.
When you were there on January 23rd, 2021, did you open the cabinets inside the house?
That's outside my job duties. That would be done by those officers who search the house.
So the cabinets were not part of your job as a forensic specialist?
If a detective who searches a cabinet determines that there's evidence relevant to this case or incident, then yes, I'll photograph inside of that cabinet to document what item of evidence was recovered from that cabinet.
Okay. How long were you inside and outside of that residence on January 23, 2021?
I believe we arrived there approximately 4:30 in the afternoon, and we left around 10. So close to 5.5 hours.
And while you were photographing the area, were the children inside the rooms?
No, they were not.
Where were the children?
I don't recall.
The photograph of the front of the house. Did you see any damage to any of the plantation or the furnishings that were in the front of that house?
Not that I recall, and not that I photographed.
How about the backyard? Were there any damage to the backyard, fencing, lawn?
Not that I noted or photographed.
Anything suspicious at all in the exterior of the house?
I'm not aware of their living conditions, so I wouldn't know what's normal and what's suspicious at that house.
Okay. Is there any reason why you did not take photographs of the attic?
At this time, the search warrant was for missing persons. There were a number of people in that house that had special conditions. We did not want to put the family out. We didn't want to cause too much trouble to them, so it was decided to not photograph the attic at that time.
Did you take photographs of the drainage inside the house?
No,
Did you see any evidence of any blood splatter inside the house?
yes, I did.
Okay, can you tell us about that?
Yes, in the main bedroom bathroom, above one of the vanities, there appeared to be reddish brown stains that were less than 1 millimeter in size. Those stains were tested using a presumptive blood test, and that test came back positive.
Is it positive for human blood?
It's positive that the reaction worked. There are a number of false positives for this test. So to say that it's human blood, I could not do that. I can say that it tested positive using that presumptive test.
How big an area inside the house that contained that blood that you're referring to?
It was probably a 2 foot by 3 foot area.
Can you describe the appearance of the blood?
Yes, there were reddish brown stains that were less than 1 millimeter in size with a sparse distribution.
Can you describe the coloration?
Coloration of
Is it red? Is it brown? Is it
coloration
black?
of the blood or the
Yes,
wall?
what you saw.
They're reddish brown.
Okay. At that point, when you saw that, did you consider that area as a crime scene or possibly a crime scene?
I determined that area to be an area with blood stains I don't know if it's a crime scene or not. I don't know how those bloodstains were produced, how they ended up on the wall, so I couldn't say if it was a crime scene or not. Once again, I'm there just to document the scene. I'm not there to make a determination on whether there's a crime was committed.
So it's not your duty to arrive at the final conclusion as to whether that's or not.
No, that's beyond the scope of my job. That blood would be sampled and those samples would be sent to the San Diego Sheriff's Office to determine whether or not that's human blood or not.
Did you see the final results of those tests?
No, I did not.
Did you see any blood in any of the other areas of the house besides the one that you just described?
The bathroom connected to the main bedroom, that area was also examined using another presumptive blood test. The whole bathroom, including the tub areas, were sprayed with chemical named Blue Star. This chemical will react with blood to give a chemiluminescence. I did spray the bathroom, and there was one other area that exhibited this chemiluminescence. I photographed that area and then collected the sample.
How many photographs did you take of the area?
I don't know offhand.
Your usual practice.
Of a general scene or the chemiluminescence?
The area where you found the blood.
Maybe 10 total. Prior to doing the presumptive test, maybe a couple, maybe 3 while doing the test, depending on if I captured what I needed to.
And you took measurements of the area, correct?
Yes.
Were there animals inside the house when you visited Mr. Millete's house?
Well, not that I remember. No.
Stopping at 4 council.
Okay, can we? I'm almost finished, yeah. Just
Stopping at 4.
at
She
4.
may have redirect, so
Okay.
we're going to ask. We're going to stop. All right.
Okay.
We're recessing for today. Sir, you're ordered back tomorrow at 9 a.m. See you then.
Thank you, Yana.
Council, is there anything else you need to address before we recess?
No, Yana.
All right, then, the defendant is ordered back tomorrow at 9 a.m. All prior orders, not in conflict, remain in full force and effect. Court is in recess.